So in June 2024, I made a bold prediction on this channel. Palantir will become one of the top 3 AI stocks of this year to buy. Back then, it was trading at just $25. Fast forward a few months later, and Palantir has shattered all expectations, skyrocketing past $65, breaking through the roof at the moment. But now the big question is, if you didn't buy Palantir back then, are you too late, or is it still a golden buying opportunity to make money and grow your money smarter and faster? So let's dive into how this incredible growth happened and what might be coming next.
Given how strong our results are, I almost feel like we should just go home. But we've been saying since we went public in a DPO that we would build infrastructure to make America and its allies the dominant force in the world. We claimed to much skepticism that this would be done in a software product, that defense and commercial industry would be driven by software, hardware, hybrid technologies, that there were very few companies in the world that could actually do that, that these companies are basically only built in America, that the companies that have tried to do this that aren't Palantir are built by ex-Palantirians, that the financials of Palantir would flow from our products and our culture and our way of implementing, that we would bring violence and death to our enemies while making targeting and general issues of safety better for our allies and for Americans, that we would stand by our values in thick and thin, including that the West and America are superior ways of organizing and that this is a great country and historically anomalous in its greatness. And even we are shocked by the 44% growth in the U.S. off of a $2 billion base. So this is not some speculative small base, 44% growth. Even we are happy to see that we grew 30%, to see the real reacceleration in USG to 40%, and to see the very, very strong results in U.S. commercial.
So we have to be honest here. Palantir is doing a really good job and the company has skyrocketed over the last few years. The lowest closing price for Palantir Technologies all time was $6 on December 27, 2022. And now it's on $65, a 10x in nearly 2 years. And some investors argue that Palantir's growth potential has reached its limit, claiming there's little room left for expansion for further profit margin improvements. Others, however, strongly disagree.
Admit they can't increase operating margins much further. This
That's
is
the
already
wrong answer.
increasing-
No.
It is
Look
not
at
the
the
wrong
lobby.
answer.
What?
No.
No. Oh, we got some disagreement. All right, here we
What are you
go.
saying? They're already
Companies is
So the big question is, why has Palantir been skyrocketing over the past 2 years? And is there a reason to believe this incredible growth can continue? Because let's face it, AI technology is booming at the moment, and Palantir seems to be riding that wave, right? But what sets Palantir apart from the countless other AI companies in the market? What's the secret behind their explosive growth? Is it just the AI hype, or is there something fundamentally different about Palantir that gives them a unique edge? So let's dive into the reasons behind their success and explore whether this momentum is sustainable.
And if you look at even 10 years ago, there was no form of software that had this kind of adoption and this kind of readiness. And also, it was conversely just not possible to show this kind of results this quickly. And we tend to focus on the results on the outside. But in AI and large language models also allow us to scale our product on the inside. So one of the unfair things about this revolution is if you have business acumen and you have a product that is good or stellar, in my humble opinion, you can make it even better internally and externally. And so that allows us to also scale many, many more people to many, many organizations with the same number of people. That's one of the reasons most of us at the table are still here. There was a general perception a couple years ago that, basically, and you see it in our numbers, Palantir wins, and maybe we win too much and we keep winning and people were like, well, Palantir makes all this money. Someone else has got to make money. And one of the things Sham and I would say Aki and others did a tremendous job of is like, look, we're in this for the supremacy of U.S. and its allies, and we're going to prove this by opening up part of our products and allowing you to sit on government data, which is, lay people assume you could just put a product on government data. You can't do that. There's all these tech products we've built that allow you to safely and securely work directly with the U.S. government. And we've begun offering that to all sorts of defense tech startups and begun partnering with more established large integrators like L3 and many others, actually. And the strategy there was, look, if we actually believe what we believe, let's show it. And this strategy, which Sham led and Aki empowered, and also kind of did incredible work on, has led to a situation where most people involved in tech innovation now view Palantir as their ally. To my knowledge, is the single best of comparable companies in the world, and significantly better than many very strong companies. So an average normal way of looking at Palantir would be like, oh, great, you have a 44% growth on a $2 billion base in the U.S., and you have a rule of 68, get that 68 down to 50, and maybe you can grow. But in fact, that way of looking at a business misunderstands the way in which Palantir builds. We believe that by investing, and we know at this point, instead of trying to have 10,000 clients, all of whom hate you, that's kind of what people want, 10,000 clients that hate you, but they can't get rid of your product. We want a smaller number of the world's best partners that, quite frankly, are dominating with our product. And the way you do that is by not blowing up your margin and getting 10,000 salespeople. It's actually by going deeper on the product. And in fact, what we see is the deeper and the better the product, the more we drive sales, the more we have our cultural singular advantage as Palantir, not as a commodity product. It's like, we are not a commodity. We do not want our customers to be commodities. We want them to be individual titans that are dominating their industry or the battlefield. And we reflect that in how we do things. We are not trying to be your average Harvard Business School preferred company with that reduces the margins, has a thin product, and then has a lower rule of 40 and presumably higher growth. By the way, I don't think you'd get higher growth than what we have. Honestly, although we, of course, are always pushing and want even higher growth, the people who tend to ask these questions tend to be modeling companies with 20% growth and lower margins. We have 44% growth in the most important market in the world, arguably not the only, but by far the most valuable market in the world, while having a rule of 68, i.e. the best in the world. And we're going to maintain the contradiction of having both high margins and high growth. It's not one or the other. They're actually interplayed, and they're not a contradiction. They power each other. That's how you know you have world-class products. That's what you see in your numbers. Are all sorts of things that our clients are beginning to discover every day. Of course, the main way they're discovering it is, holy shit, I can do this in an hour that used to take 5 hours or 50 hours, or I could have 2,000 people or 20 and 10. And by the way, also allied countries that have begun to realize that AI is the way in which to make their defenses superior in the face of brutal, heinous, immoral, and often terroristic enemies, where you need a superior form of fighting that's both safer for you and more dangerous for the adversary, and controls how you hit them and when and where, and allows you to maximize your results. It is also just jarring to see how America adopts the most important, most agile, and most impactful technology independent of who the purveyor and builder of that. We are building this company, and we believe we're at the beginning, and watching American adoption both in government and commercial, while not forcing us to change, while accepting that many of the ideas of how to make your enterprise better, whether it's insurance has been mentioned, oil and gas, any kind of complicated manufacturing, supply chain, healthcare, obviously defense and intel, that a new and different way of building software and implementing it, meaning the infrastructure is where the value is, despite the fact that, as you may have noticed, many have noticed, that the experts that write about these things seem to believe the commodity, i.e. the LLM, is the valuable aspect of this, and that the actual asset, meaning how you manage the commodity, is the actual value, despite great skepticism about our view of how to do this. And I'm particularly proud to see the warfighter adoption of this. You see every part of U.S. government, including the White House, Congress, Defense, Intel, beginning to embrace the application of large language models in infrastructure, obviously something that Palantir is particularly specialized in. And we are really, I think, as a company, enjoying this phase. You know, when you build a company over a long period of time, there are good and bad phases. But to see, in fact, our view of what it makes to make enterprises stronger and better show up in these dramatic results is super gratifying, and we plan to continue.
Yes, I think the growth will continue because Palantir is doing a real good job. And their most important part, they focus on two specific parts on the business. That's very important. And that is
Palantir, over a course of 20 years, there have been two things that have been true. We have the very best people. Obviously, we could go through the government clients we're allowed to acknowledge, and they are the most elite and interesting in the world. But I would say our commercial partners, as witnessed here, and the people presenting, are the most interesting, most dynamic, most, in general, highest integrity commercial partners that you will ever meet. The people running them who've purchased our products, the people who are supporting the people running it and doing their own thing in IT, engineering, production, marketing, have one thing in common, which is I need my business to work better, and I'm going to look at the product, and I'm not going to look at the steak dinner. And that's how we ended up with the best people and the best customers and the best use cases. And of course, that is just a massive structural advantage.
so, yes, I made a bold prediction in June 2024. And no, I'm not going to repeat what I said in this video, where I did a 3 AI stock predictions where 2 performed exceptionally well and 1 lagged a little behind in those 5 months. But here's the thing. This also highlights the big risk you face when you are investing directly in individual stocks. And as I've said many times before in other videos, no one can time or predict the market. And while a 2.6x return on your money is really amazing over the last 5 months, it also comes with significant risks, right? Risks that could just as easily result in substantial losses. So if you want to invest directly in Palantir, you can do so with the ticker code PLTR. But remember, this isn't financial advice. Therefore, if you would like to spread your risk more effectively, something I highly recommend and you know I'm a huge fan of is this: ETFs. With ETFs, you have the advantage when Palantir performs well, you benefit. But if it doesn't, other companies in the ETF will likely pick up the pace. And an important thing to know is that in September 2024, Palantir joined the S&P 500 index, which could attract more investments from individual investors and also index tracking funds, right? So when you invest in the S&P 500, you are essentially buying a small percentage of Palantir along with shares of the 500 largest companies in the US. And this is a great way to diversify your portfolio. Another option is the Nasdaq 100, a stock market index representing the 100 largest non-financial companies listed on the Nasdaq stock market. The Nasdaq 100 leans heavily into the tech sector and includes industry giants like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and now also Palantir. So when you invest in the Nasdaq 100, your portfolio is less diversified than with the S&P 500, and your percentage exposure to Palantir is also larger. So this can be great if you are confident in Palantir's growth, but it also carries greater risk. So don't forget this. That being said, if you want to understand why I predicted that Palantir would skyrocket, check out this video where I break down their incredible AI technology, and it's truly mind blowing. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to get more predictions like this in the future. So, see you in the next video.